Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
This show is a proud member of the On Us All Podcast Network.
Are you prepared for the AI/Paramount apocalypse? That is among the topics we'll be talking about tonight on another episode of What's News, where we talk about all the latest things in geek culture. This is Systematic Geekology. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Schaefer, here with two of my fellow geekologists, Christian Ashley and Leah Robinson. How are y'all tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great, actually. It got warm in North Carolina, so I'm like pinging on all the serotonin right now.
I'm going to see on vacation in the mountains. It's warm here too.
It changed. Like, I totally believe people talk about seasonal depression stuff. I believe it. Like, at least for me personally, when the sun comes out, I'm just like, life is good.
It really, I can handle hibernation for a while, but after a certain point, I'm so done with I was getting so done with winter and ice and everything. So I totally agree. So, well, great to have you both tonight. I'm excited to talk about a lot of geek stuff tonight. And before we get started, if you are new to the show or, you're a long time, hey, please rate, review, subscribe. I know every podcast says it, but really does help us out. So, you can tell your friends about the show. Give us your support, whether you're here on YouTube or listening to this later on. And you can click on the show notes for finding out ways to support us. And I also want to give a shout out to one of our supporters, Jeannie Mattingly. I think that's how you say it. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing. What is it?
I think it's Mattingly. I don't know for sure.
Okay. Mattingly, but either way, you know who you are. Thank you so much for your support. And if you would like a shout out on Systematic Geekology, again, follow those links for ways to support us. So I really appreciate all our wonderful supporters. Well, before we get into our main topics, Christian, Leo, what are your lightning round picks for what you've been geeking out on lately?
Thunder Barbarian comics just released not too long ago. A big fan of the old show in the 80s. And it's been fun so far. I'm trying to think. The new crossover event between Spider-Man and Venom has happened with Death Spiral as well in the comics, and it's okay.
I love it. Yeah. Hey, I mean, if Christian, if you can say okay, that's a passing grade for
at this point in time.
Yeah.
I tried to imagine your face when I talked about my main topic, and I was just like, I can't wait. The Saturday.
I'm excited with that too. Yeah.
My lightning round would be, I'm going to be talking about this later on the Geeks, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but I'm a huge Scream fan. So I went opening night to see, I'm the horror gal on the Geekology stage. So I love it. This was a terrible movie, and I'll be happy to talk about that later. But I did go see it.
I am very much looking forward to the discussion. I'm also a big horror fan. I just, oddly enough, Scream isn't the franchise I've delved into. Obviously, I've seen the original, seen some of the sequels, but I have not gone through and done all of them. And now, as with the more recent sequels, I think let's see, this is 7. I think I saw 5 because that was 2. Yeah, but yeah, I need to watch them all. But I am very looking forward to this discussion.
I mean, I had this discussion with someone else once, and I was a sophomore in high school when the first one came out, and that was just the perfect time. There was all of these popular people in one time period, but we'll talk about that later. So that's one of mine. I've also been revisiting, because I teach a course actually at postgrad at Mercer on the many faces of Jesus, if we want to cover religion. And I actually have been rewatching Black Panther, because there's a new one that's coming, something that's coming out, I'm told, by my geek husband. So we're rewatching the previous one. I don't know if you guys have seen the new thing or not, or if it's even out, like a sequel to it.
I'm not aware. I mean, Coogler's working on Black Panther 3, but that'll still be a while though.
Yeah, maybe the second one, and we just haven't seen the second one.
Okay, yeah. But big movies, and it may just be because everything is building to Doomsday right now, which will be the big MCU culmination at the end of the year. So that may be referenced, but yeah, but that's great.
I'm a DC gal. I'm not a Marvel gal.
Oh, yeah.
So, which makes sense. But so I was saying, so did the Endgame? We had this discussion last night. I was like, so did Endgame actually really matter? Because I thought they disappeared into dust or something, the Black Panther people. And he goes, well, it's complicated.
That's a fair description. And if you want to, we are doing a countdown to Doomsday series throughout this year. So we've only covered the first X-Men trilogy, but we're going to be doing MCU. So if you want to dive deep, I'm also a big DC fan, but I'm an MCU enthusiast as well. So yeah, kind of over. But yeah, and then my lightning round, very different, but so big Noah Khan fan, and I did get tickets to concert this summer, which I'm very excited for. But just been listening to his newest album. Hasn't come out yet, but it's coming soon. But the single that's the title song on that album, I've been listening to religiously, and that music video over and over again. And now it's to the point where I got my sister hooked on him, and now my niece knows the lyrics to a bunch of the songs too. So it's spreading the Noah Khan fandom there. But awesome. Well, I know we've got a lot to cover tonight, so let's get into it. The first one we got to talk about with the recent news. Netflix backed out of its bid to acquire Warner Brothers, basically paving the road for Paramount to take over. Even though it technically hasn't been sealed yet, there's little in the way of this happening. So basically, Paramount will own Warner Brothers, CNN, pretty much I don't know if I can put a number on how much media and entertainment they will have ownership of. But yeah, this basically seals the deal there. And as far as a timeline, we still don't know. Based on everything I've read and watched about it, it seems like the Ellison family, who are the owners of Paramount, are eager to make it happen as quickly as possible. And this, as far as the ramifications this will have for the things we love, Leah, you just mentioned being a big DC fan, so am I, and Christian as well. And I know we're all very concerned for what this could mean for the DCU. And it's very uncertain right now. It may be safe, it may not. But yeah, what are y'all's thoughts on this news? I can't say I have overly optimistic things to say, but I will add something in a bit. But I want to get your thoughts first.
Well, I also teach history, so my PhD is in religion and history. Historically speaking, this should set off a whole lot of red flags in our minds, and that it doesn't matter what political persuasion you are. This is just kind of a formula of there's a reason why we had monopoly clauses and that in our country. And it was to avoid this sort of one ring to rule them all, to bring in the geek bit here. And that's what we're starting to see. We never want one voice, in my opinion, as a historian, one voice to speak to all levels of politics, religion, sociology, culture. And when you start to see these acquisitions, it should, to me, be worrying, because it feels like we're starting to get to that point. So that's your history geek view of it.
Oh, I love it. Bring it on. Yeah. But yeah. Christian, anything you want to add?
Yeah, when it comes to monopolies, yes, absolutely. There's a reason why we have laws against them. And either way, whoever would have won, we would have lost in some way, shape, or form. It's just how do you want to lose was your pick here. But I'm not doomsaying anything here, like, it's going to be okay ultimately. That doesn't mean I'm happy. Don't get me wrong about that. But I just remember seeing the moment it landed, like I was scrolling down on Reddit trying to fall asleep. And it's like, this is the end of the world. Everything's wrong. We might as well just nuke ourselves right now. Like actual statements said by people. It's like, look, like it's just entertainment. Like, yes, there's something deeper here. There's something that means something. But like, no one's dying. Get over yourselves.
Well, and it's not just entertainment; it's news as well.
Right.
And that,
Yeah, that is affected too. I was thinking more on the movie side of things.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm very glad you brought that perspective. I was trying to look at this objectively, and I mean, I am definitely terrified for all those reasons you say. I mean, I hate monopolies. I don't, and Christian, just like you said, if Netflix acquired it, it would have been a loss as well. I don't like, tech companies in charge of entertainment media. That is terrifying. The one thing I will say, and this was an article I read that gave me, just to put some sliver of hope. Not that it isn't still a bad move, but just to play the other side of, Christian, like you were saying, does it kill entertainment completely or kill creativity? No, because often creators are the ones that rise to challenges. And I read this article about how in the 1920s, when the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America was formed, this was an era of mass censorship for films that would very much mirror the comics code years later, which we've done an episode on. And, censorship, mass censorship, I don't think is a good thing for creators. But through all of this, some of the best movies ever were made. I mean, Citizen Kane came out in this era. And so it kind of, forced creators to work around these guidelines and kind of push against studio restrictions. They still have to follow these guidelines, but it ended up forcing their creativity. And I do believe in the power of creators and storytellers. And, and even Christian, I actually think the reaction there may actually be the negative reaction, maybe in some ways a good thing, because it's people are not happy with something like this. And when you get people fed up enough with larger systems and power, that leads to revolution and that leads to, pushback. And so I don't think that, one person can hold a, media empire together forever. Inevitably, these things will fall apart over time. And, it gives power back to the people, power back to the creators. So that's my somewhat optimistic take on it, but it's still very concerning.
Yeah, and I don't think it has to be we're all going to fall into a pit of fire and the world's exploding. But I also think the fact that people are noticing and sitting up and taking notice is important, because we've had mergers in the past. This isn't, like you said, Kevin, this isn't new. But I do think that people are seeing in our current climate in the United States specifically that these things can have consequences. And so I think talking that and saying, we're not living in a zero-sum game anymore. Like things will be affected by this, and we're seeing it, across the states at the moment. I think that's important too, because I think especially teaching students, I've learned that there's power in calmness, but there's also power in paying attention. And I think that that's important. I think we all lean towards, being chill, and, it's why wine exists, right? For me, I get it.
Right.
But also I think being agitated is not the same as being doomsday. And I think you can be agitated and pay attention without thinking the world's ending as well.
Yeah. And it's important to have, be conscious of everything, stay informed and be able to, and this actually ties in directly to topic I'm going to talk about next. But yeah, the way we consume information, and we're often prone to immediate reactions and fear mongering. And really, if we, think critically, which is what, let's just be honest, that tech bros and fascists don't want, it's like that is a way to fight back on that.
I agree. But I'm a college professor, so I do like a good bit of critical thinking.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is definitely going to be one of those that pay attention to what's going on.
Yep.
What are they saying? What are they producing? And then you have certain things, like I know there's been several directors they brought back already for different projects, like Rush Hour 4. There was, I think Max Landis has been brought back on something, Brett Ratner, and certain other things like that. That is very concerning, and that this would be very different if they had like maybe served time, or if they had apologized or something like that. And I would not be as angry because that would show some repentance. I have seen none of that. So that kind of gets me a little concerned. I know other people like friend of the show, Brandon Knight, he's already like said stuff on his show, Kung Fu Pizza about how he's not ever going to Rush Hour 4 because of who's behind it. Like, I get that. Then, of course, there's also the Saudi influence that people are bringing up, and how they're in charge of, much in the same way that a lot of people were very angry with China and the influence it had on box office and stuff. Neither one of those really makes me happy, but just keep paying attention. And if in your heart of hearts you can say, I can't abide by this, boycott it. Don't go to it. Don't watch it.
You mean
Don't get angry.
I don't have to go to the Melania movie now?
You don't have to. Yeah. And you know what? If someone else does, they're not saying, like, it's okay. Let them be them. Let them make their own decision.
And the dilemma I have is like, again, being a big DC fan is like, if it gets shuffled in, because I've never subscribed to Paramount Plus. Like, I mean, even before Ellison's and all that, I just didn't really have as much interest in that. But especially when they took over, and now, Christian, like you said, they're bringing back directors who have, been very much documented as for sexual harassment, and it's inexcusable. And they're giving them a platform again. That I can't stand. But it's like, if HBO Max gets eaten up by this, but I still love DC. I love like whatever other movie. It's like, what do I do? Because I want to support James Gunn and all those creators. So yeah, I understand. It does put dilemmas, but yeah.
I mean, I've heard Matthew Lillard be interviewed a million times this season of Scream, and he keeps referring to Bob. And I'm like, Bob. Who did the original Screams? Oh, that'd be Miramax. So he's talking about the Weinsteins.
Yeah.
So, there is that bit as well, is that, and I had a friend today talking about Harry Potter, which is a really interesting conversation to have as well. And we don't have to dig into that. But it is one of those things where, I think you have to choose your own position and know where you're going to stand and be confident in that. And like, Christian was saying, you don't have to like throw a Mazel Tov cocktail at anyone who does decide to go see the trash fire that is that documentary. However,
but did you say Mazel Tov cocktail?
Mazel Tov.
Molotov.
I know, but we can celebrate it too, depending on who you're throwing it at.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, you don't have to set fire to people, for sure. But I do think that, and scream Mazel Tov at the same time. But I do think that, to be PC about that and to care about what other people think is not the same as being complacent. And I think we do have to pay attention, especially like in the world we're living in now. Things are moving in a very serious direction that's going to affect us and freedoms and things like that. And I think we do have to pay attention to that.
100%. And also, I'll end on this note, Leah, I like looking at your bookshelf there. I think one of the best things we can do is buy physical media and go to libraries and buy Blu-rays and books, and that to me is an act of resistance itself. And there's something really special about watching a movie on a disc versus one of the million streaming services, and subscribing to an algorithm. So there's beauty in that, and just sharing books and movies with each other, and that sense of community that I think is being threatened by all this and by big monopolies. So that, I think, is my recommendation for.
Yeah, we've become very reliant on the streaming. Like our internet went out for like 2 days, and it was like a very serious issue. And we just were staring at each other like, what do we watch? I just had bought sets of Scrubs. We just started watching that, which should have been in my lightning round as well, because it came back. That show is very un-PC, I should say, in many ways, but it still brings about joy that I remember from those early days.
Yeah, I love that. But yeah.
Howdy guys, I really hate to interrupt, but my name's TJ, and I'm here to tell you about our new merch. We have incredible new stuff with Fourth Wall. We have just partnered with them as a new store. They have a lot more to offer, which means we have a lot more to offer. We can now offer you beautiful Comfort Colors t-shirts. They're so comfy. I wear mine all the time. And we've got it all now. Cups, hats, backpacks, pajamas. If you want your systematic geekology pajamas, you know where to go. My personal favorite is actually our Throne of Geeks shirt. It is Comfort Colors, blue, black, green, red, orange. And the shirts are just so nice. And the shirt itself, we've got the Throne of Iron geeked out because, that's our brand. We've got Mjolnir on there, the Buster Sword, Trident. Basically just the coolest weapons from our favorite properties are on the shirt instead of a bunch of normal boring swords from the boring series Game of Thrones. So check that out, and thank you.
Awesome. Well, this actually is a nice segue into my topic here. So I don't know if either of you have seen the new film, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, but this ties in directly to this because so this is like indie sci-fi, also comedy, a little bit of horror from Gore Verbinski, who's actually, it's his first movie in a while. He's the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, and then he did The Ring back in the day. And his last movie before this I hadn't seen, but yeah, he had been trying to get this one off the ground for a while. But I described this movie as kind of a dark comedy version of Terminator, because in it, Sam Rockwell plays an unnamed man from the future, and at the beginning, he shows up in a diner where everyone's looking at their phones, and he announces them that, hey guys, the world's gonna end. I need you to pick some of you to go with me on this mission to stop an AI. And he's been this is like his 100-something time in this scene. He continually goes back in time trying to find the right group of people to go on this mission with them, and he keeps failing and then trying again. And so he gets this cast of quirky characters, and basically their mission is not to destroy AI like they know it's already in motion, but he's trying to go back to the point before it became completely unstoppable and would wipe out humanity, to put restrictions on it. And then as this mission plays out, you also get backstories of the individual characters. And some of these scenes will make you so uncomfortable in a very, again, dark comedy way. Particularly, there's a sequence involving like how common mass and school shootings have become, and the way they turn that into very dark satire. I actually saw it with a friend of mine who's one of my pastors and his wife, and the three of us are big movie buffs, and we were all just like, uncomfortably laughing, but that was kind of the effect it had. But yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought, it was not perfect, but it was, from a stylistic, aesthetic standpoint, it captures, it really is on different influences from cyberpunk and sci-fi, and has this kind of kinetic pacing. And again, I think those backstory scenes were my favorite parts of it. Those were the cleverest, and I enjoyed getting to know this really quirky cast of eccentric characters. You have Haley Lou Richardson is in it, Michael Pena, a few others who I've seen in some things, but great cast. It's a perfect role for Sam Rockwell. I kind of like it whenever he shows up in anything. I feel like he's one of those actors who kind of picks his projects selectively. But when he does, it's something that he's really committed to. So yeah, this was, all of the influences in this are very apparent, from various video games to Terminator, Matrix. But I think it adds an original spin, and it's very relevant, obviously, today, with commentary on AI, satire on, just the way it's, stealing all of our time. And like you said, Leah, the way it's being used to kind of dissolve critical thinking, all of that is on display here. So yeah, I really, and it was one that kind of lingers with you for a few days after, because it's a lot to get in, and you'll come out of it, you're like, oh, I think I want to just destroy my phone now. But yeah, very relevant today. I really like that this movie got made, because again, it was not backed by a major studio, but it's got a big budget, great cast, and yeah, really enjoyed it. So I don't know if y'all have any questions on any of that or anything you want to add to just the AI discussion these days.
Did you guys ever review the Don't Look Up movie? The one
I've seen it. I remember that one. That was before it came out. No, before it was.
I really like
so,
that one. Yeah,
it's a good one.
It's a good one. It's not like it's not too. It's just so fantastical because there's just meteor coming and like no one looks up because someone told like their leader said just don't look up and like the meteor's coming and they're just. I mean, it's a pretty simple premise, but it kind of reminds me of that, which is like this guy trying to be like, listen to me, like who's in control of our minds, I guess. Yeah,
that's a really good comparison, actually, because I remember when that movie came out. I mean, that was so a while before I joined this show, but that would be a really good one to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, who do we talk about misinformation and fake news and all of that, which is fine, but who, if you know that that's happening, who is controlling how you consume the news?
Right.
And I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
This certainly sounds like a fascinating film. Just from the synopsis you gave, I was looking up a little bit before we recorded. I just to get a little bit of synopsis. And yeah, I'm sold on the concept. Having someone come back multiple times over, whether it be to the same place or multiple places. I don't know if it says in the film, whether he tried other people first.
No, but it's the same diner over and over again. So like, and yes. And it does like a Groundhog Day joke about the two, like the Groundhog Day scene where he goes around and tells everything about everyone, like, gives their life stories, all that. It does like a play on that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said too. There's this goal you're trying to stop and defend people against, but you keep going back to the same place over and over again, expecting different results. Like, I mean, what's the cliche? It's the definition of insanity. So I'm interested to see how that would play out in the film. Because if I think I remember there being like a positive ending, from what I saw other people say. I don't know what you'd have to say on the subject, but I mean, that's something that could eventually lead to, what was I going to say? Sorry, I'm getting old. Yeah. Point being, it's I like the description. I like what you're saying here. I think it does have something to say about AI, about our, of course, this opening scene you mentioned, being all on their phones. I mean, I'm married to mine most of the day because, I'm bored. My mind works a little faster than most. So not everything entertains me as well, unless I have something in front of me. That's why I can have, very, very humble. That's me. I'm the most humblest person here on the show. That's why when I'm like working, when I'm writing, like I'll have music playing in the background or something, or when I'm playing a game, I'll have a YouTube video on, or I'll be a podcast because I need that extra space to be filled. So that's certainly an indictment against people like me, which I find very fascinating. And as well, the idea of, well, we have created this thing. It is going to bring us to ruin. What do we do with it? Well, no one stopped it until it got to the point where it's too bad. So what can we do right now? Not to get rid of it because it's already here, but do something to like fix what we can.
Oh, Christian, and I was like, a few weeks ago, I was like, because I usually watch YouTube or a show or whatever while I'm eating lunch. And it was like one day my internet was slow and I couldn't get it on. And I was like, what do I do with silence now? Like, and I'm just like, I had this conversation at church recently. I'm like, it's actually really beautiful when we allow ourselves to do that, but we are so prone to a million distractions and a million, like having to constantly feed our minds.
Read a book. You can't read a book.
Right?
I read a book and listen to music. Like the only time I don't is when I'm having like my quiet time. That's like, nothing else is on.
It does. I mean, other than obvious brilliance, it could also be a little bit of the ADHD there too. Maybe.
I have been undiagnosed for quite some time. I wouldn't be surprised.
I was going to say, I'm not I don't have a PhD in that, but it's, I've been around such folks. My podcast partner, Christy, can't like do anything unless she has music on, which to me would be like, I couldn't function. But then she's got a little, we always call them fires on the spectrum. But fireworks on the spectrum because they're positive.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I mean, that's very much our culture. And so I think this film has a lot to say on that. I mean, it's not, and again, it's very entertaining because several friends have asked me, like, I know, kind of the premise and satire, but is it fun? And I think, I mean, it's just over 2 hours and I thought it flew by. It's well worth seeing. I'm always for, indie films like this, getting made and they can say something about the times we're living in. So definitely go see. Good luck, have fun, don't die. It's all, again, prepare yourself for some dark humor and some stuff that will make you uncomfortable. But I think it's well worth checking out.
I'd follow Sam Rockwell into the dark.
I would too.
I mean,
100%. Yep.
I just have, I hope he never comes out as being scandalous because I don't.
Oh gosh, that's one I cannot handle either.
We have so few left.
Oh,
We can't take any more heartache.
my heart will break.
And he's married to Leslie Bibb. They were both in White Lotus season 3.
Well, yeah.
And find out. Well, no, I'm doing an MCU rewatch right now, and they're both in Iron Man 2 because she played the reporter who hooks up with Tony in the first movie. Yeah. So but no, they both seem like really delightful people, and I hope that doesn't.
Long may it continue.
Yeah. Right on.
Thank you all so much for your time listening to this episode. If you want to help sponsor our show, but you can't quite do the membership thing, commit to that once a month payment, good news, you can leave a donation on our Fourth Wall website. You also can get some free content over there. So if you don't have the money for the membership, but you still want to hear some of the extras and bonuses we do over on Fourth Wall, there's an option for that. If you want to support the show without that commitment every month, again, you can donate over there. Every little bit helps. You know, our show has a lot of needs when it comes to equipment, when it comes to going to some of the events we want to go to, advertising, getting the word out about our show. It takes a lot, and we really appreciate each and every person who's able to help us do it, even if it's something free, just like the free membership or leaving a rate and review on our site. Every little bit helps. Your time listening to this helps, and we appreciate all of you. We're so proud of the community we formed over at Systematic Ecology, and we're very happy and we're proud that you're a part of it. Thank you so much for your time and for being a part of this community.
Awesome. Well, okay. So the next topic we have is we've got Scream or Bridgerton. Which one do you want to do first?
I'm doing Bridgerton this time because I'm doing Scream in the next one.
Sounds.
Well, you did say White Lotus too, so I'm glad the systematic geeks are open-minded in their views of that which is geeky.
Oh yeah.
Bridgerton is, I mean, at this stage, I'll give a little synopsis because I feel like most people kind of have it. It's not a super complicated show here. We're not doing a David Lynch here. Like, this is, basically Shonda Rhimes of Grey's Anatomy fame, amongst other. I mean, she's got an empire at this stage, like How to Get Away with Murder or something. I think she did that too. But she created the show. Essentially, it's supposed to be kind of a period piece, except that it's very loose. So it's based on a series of books, and it's essentially about this family called the Bridgertons. There's 8 children, and each season is essentially a love story of each of theirs in varying conflict. Now, I don't like romance. I don't watch Hallmark movies. I would far prefer to be in a dark, scary alley with Ghostface than to do this. However, what I will say is that it gets you somehow. Like, I didn't get it, and I didn't watch it for seasons and seasons because I was just like, oh my God, this is going to take up all of this Netflix money, and here we are. But I watched it, and I was like, oh, I get it. They did really well with casting. They did really well with chemistry. They did really well with writing. And it's kind of fantastical. I mean, everything is a little bit over the top. They play music that's contemporary. So it's almost like if Baz Luhrmann, if you've watched some of his films, it's like if he took a Xanax and decided to do a period piece on London, like Victorian London. It's kind of that.
That might be the best logline I've ever heard. Once in a while.
It's a lot less flashy, but the same idea is she's trying to bring in sort of a version of this sort of world. You could, Regency-era London and bring it to like a contemporary audience. So there's hierarchy, which is interesting because it's based on money and status, and it is strict. But there's not the hierarchy based on things like race or jobs or stuff like that. So the things that we kind of think maybe put people into these social systems, she's kind of turned on their head and said, well, they exist, but they don't exist in the way that you and I think. So I challenge anyone to watch it and to see if they say they absolutely hate it. I've never heard anyone say they absolutely hate it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it, but hate it, that's fine. But I would be interested to see why. It's very
I know it has a big fan base, and and romance stuff, I wasn't into when I was younger. I like a lot. Or now, rom-coms I love. And yeah, I mean, it's this one, so I haven't started yet, but I mean, knowing the fan base for it, a lot of positivity around it, I'd be down to check it out.
I mean, you're not going to hurt any. Look, you know what I will say too is we all talk about escapism and how important it is. And sometimes my version of escapism isn't always scary stuff or even sci-fi, which is getting very sort of like mirroring our own world in a lot of ways. If I can watch a show about a bunch of pretty people who are having semi-intelligent conversations, even if they're making stupid choices, but they're off in some distant land, you know, maybe we just need a little bit of that. Just a little bit of actual fantastical that is otherworldly fantastical.
I agree.
I'll be the dissenting opinion here. I couldn't care less about something like this if I tried.
I'm shocked.
Loyalty, nobility, not my thing. Like, I tried watching Downton Abbey because friends of mine were. I got through the first season and said, I'm done. Nothing like this. The Doctor Who episode that went through like the Bridgerton kind of episode was one of the most boring things I've ever experienced in my life. I wanted nothing to do with it. This means absolutely nothing. I mean, that does not mean it doesn't have merit. That doesn't mean it's bad just simply because I don't care for stuff like that. But like, I'm not going anywhere near it. And I know there's an end story reason for why, but I don't appreciate going back in time and whitewashing the racism to the point where people who suffered through that during that time don't have to do it simply because the story doesn't want it to be that way versus, you know, this is an actual alternate reality where something happened differently. And then change came as about. And I know there's something in there that happens as a result of that, with like a noble being married who was African to one of the kings, right?
Yeah, they do acknowledge the race stuff in the show.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, there are consequences for people being, even if you're nobility, but you are from a different ethnicity, there are certainly consequences for that.
Yeah, this is simply one of those things that I recognize it ain't for me. That doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, because you've got Josh with the bad opinions, Christian with the good opinions, but I'm going to say Leah just has the opinions. Is that okay?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I didn't think it was for me. I've never seen a Hallmark movie once in my whole life. Like, I never watched Downton Abbey. I never saw any of that. I never watched any of the Royals shows. I lived in the UK for 11 years and could not give a crap about the Royals. But I do like attractive people doing attractive things.
And the Royals thing, I haven't had to care since 1776.
So no one in the MCU is attractive at all, though, right?
Oh, no, not. Or the attractive. That's something.
Oh, the MCU. Yeah, there's no attractive people there. But
Isn't there someone named Scarlet or something that's in
Yeah.
at least?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was. The reason I brought it up was one, I knew it would like it. I knew that Christian would be really obsessed with it, but also it kind of surprised me. Like I was sort of surprised. And then Stuart, my husband, Kevin, is very big into this world. He loves Star Wars. He's into the nerd stuff. But he walked by the other night and he goes, "Now, what are they?" And then he sat, it's sort of the slow sit down.
The slow sit, yep. Yep.
And then he was like, "Wait, so who is this again?" And I was like,
You're getting sucked in. Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Yeah, so Bridgerton is a trap, is what I'll say. That's a great way to summarize it.
If only we had an Admiral Akbar image to pop up right there. But
You had that soundbite.
yeah, that would be perfect. But awesome. Well, excellent choice. So I guess the last topic then is, I want to hear your thoughts, both of your thoughts on Scream 7. And hey, do it, whatever you guys want to do. Feel free to. I've actually already read the spoilers because I was curious. Because I did. All I've heard is that I did hear one dissenting opinion. Friend of mine, Matt Connor, said he loved it. Every other review I saw was terrible, and I wanted to know, so I read all the spoilers. So I don't really care, but whatever you want to do for viewers and listeners. But
that's our next recording, so I'll have to hold on to that one.
For the unresolved stuff, you have something from there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, and because of actors?
You'll just have to wait and see, Christian.
Okay. Yeah, I will say that I'm the dissenting opinion once again. I went in this expecting it to be bad because I heard so many people saying it was. Then I walked down and said, "What movie did these jokers watch?" I enjoyed it. It's not the best. It's not perfect. I mean, no Scream film is, but I enjoyed, the mother-daughter relationship. There's definitely some questions on, once again, the killers. There's that Scream 5 problem where one of the killers is like way shorter, but the ghost faces are the same size. So it's one of those, it shouldn't have been a red herring. There's also a big deal about someone who shouldn't have survived multiple stabbings, but that's also, the horror in general, how it kind of has that problem. So I didn't walk away from the film without gripes, but I did enjoy it a lot more than I expected to.
Yeah, as a horror film, it's fine. It's as a standard horror film, and the height difference is something. I mean, Matthew Lillard's like 6'5" or something, so like that has never been a sort of thing. But it's as a standalone horror film, it's fine. I think I told you both this. I approach Scream the way that people approach Star Wars oftentimes, which is that I have been obsessed with this series since 1996. Like, I have immersed myself in this world, and it is the worst of the series. If you're taking the Leah with the opinions, but also I would say I think a lot of people would also agree it's the worst in the series. It came to the point where they revealed the ghost face killers, which is often or whatever is oftentimes interesting to people and becomes this thing. And I had to turn to the person I was with and say, who is that again? The guy. And I was like, and they were like, oh, that person showed up for a scene like 30 minutes ago for a second. And I was like, oh, okay. I think one of the things that Scream does well is that it makes it so that, there is some connection to whoever is going on this killing rampage. And it's varying degrees of tangents of connection, but there's some connection. And with this one, it felt, but also there was rewrites and there was a whole issue related to that. Kevin Williamson came back to do this one, which we were all pretty excited about. But then there was a lot of stuff that happened with the 5'6" previous actress, and that got fired for criticizing the Israeli-Palestinian situation. Jenna Ortega left as well after that. And so there was a lot of the story that was supposed to be 7 didn't actually pan out. The meta stuff about horror films, which is always the fun part. They could have really, really gone on the deep fake thing, because we were all faked out whenever we heard the fans that are like hardcore fans, when we heard Matthew Lillard's voice at the end of this trailer saying this is going to be fun. We all were deep faked. Like, you could have really, they just didn't have it. I always say the Randy voice, there's 3 rules. Don't say you'll be right back. You're not going to be right back. They lost that sort of fun meta bit, I would add.
It sounds a lot in many ways to like Rise of Skywalker in terms of like, I mean, granted that was, Carrie.
Not even close.
Okay. But but it just in terms of the like, because I'm aware of the controversy and when, was it Melissa Barrera was fired and then Jenna Ortega left, like, why I bring that up as a comparison is like Carrie Fisher's death changed the trajectory of episode 9. And this was a thing too, where it's like, this wasn't the movie they originally were going to make. And, I don't know if it's as bad as Rise of Skywalker, but it just seems like there's comparisons there.
Well, there's bad. And then it's sort of what Christian said, there's bad, just like this is a, scale of bad to good or whatever. But then there's also how fandoms view it. And I think those are 2 different ways to kind of look at stuff. Because my husband brought up the Skywalker film and I was like, did I see that one? He was like, yeah. And I was like, it's fine. It's a film,
Yeah, but in regards to that whole thing, I don't think what she said was a fireable offense, but it was one of the most tone-deaf things I've ever read in my life. I'm not saying that as someone who says that Israel can do no wrong. Like, no, you can criticize, but to call it what she did, that has no basis. In fact, it's very Hollywood. I have an opinion, so I'm going to bring it up. And that in and of itself does not mean you have to lose a role. I just think it means you're a terrible person who didn't, critically think about something. But you know what? It's fine. Like, she can have her opinions. It's like what was her name in The Mandalorian? She said those stupid things comparing Republicans to Jews in Nazi Germany. It's like, okay, you can have that thought. Just don't say it out loud and you'll keep your job.
Yeah. I mean, hello, what is it? Rowling? Just Harry Potter? Just don't get on the internet. Like, have those on your inside voice. Like, but also in terms of firing and stuff, I mean, there was also the issue Nev Campbell wasn't getting paid like what she thought she could get paid. So then she skipped out on one. And then we have to recreate a story, kind of what you were talking about, Kevin, like a Carrie Fisher. I mean, nowhere comparable, but like sometimes the way that the world is just means that you have to adjust. And I will say what Scream is real bad at is adjusting. Like Matthew Lillard has famously said he was supposed to be the killer in Scream 3 in interviews, and he was paid to do it. By the way, and it was written and he was paid and he was doing it. But then there was this thing that happened called Columbine, and they rewrote the entire thing. He still got the money, but they didn't want it to be based around school stuff or anything like that. And so he walked away and they shifted it to Hollywood or whatever and made it a completely different film. So I think it's not necessarily been the best at adapting. But I mean, that is kind of a bigger question for fandom is any sort of film. I mean, clearly when Carrie Fisher died, they weren't very good at making a movie that people liked. I mean,
I had many issues besides that. And they were put in an impossible situation with her death.
Yeah.
I don't envy anyone who had to go through that. It was dealing with the after effects of the film before it, and then too far trying to course correct and failing at that, amongst many other decisions that showed that there was no plan and they weren't good enough at making something without a plan. Because, Lucas, the original series, without a plan.
They're not good at that either, though, at shifting.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge. I don't envy like any creators of a long-standing franchise trying to continue in a way that not only tells a good story, but respects the fan base. It's a big juggling act. But yeah, it's really interesting getting your thoughts here on this. One day I will do a full watch of the Scream franchise. I just I have this more like in terms of my horror. I'm a Nightmare on Elm Street and a lot of self-contained movies, whatnot. But this is one I will do at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun series to watch through. I mean, I think it meant something at the time when I was younger, and it kept meaning something. And, this last one, I think when you watch them together, I'd be interested if you watched them back to back, what your ranking would be. Like if you saw the name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'll do it. That would be fun. But yeah, sweet. Well, this has been fun. That was our main topics here. I also know the Lanterns trailer did drop. We'll talk about that or like future episode. But this is the teaser. But I am looking forward to that. Always good for DC. But wrap it up here, y'all. Do you have any recommendations either from anything we talked about tonight or something completely different?
Yeah, I think. Weirdly came onto this happenstance, but I watched the Scrubs reboot. And look, it's not going to change your life or anything. But if we're talking about films that come back that are not going to change your life, but that will get you through 45 minutes, then, or TV shows rather, I would say that's a good one. If you want a bit of a nostalgia, if you watch those when you're younger, it's a good one.
Sure. Christian, what about you?
Based on what you said, I actually do want to recommend Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. That sounds like a really fun movie.
Christian also recommends Bridgerton, but only seasons 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah. I'm such a Bridgerhead. Like seasons 1 and 2, they changed my life. After that, it was just lost its way.
I mean, after the Duke and Daphne, what do you do?
Oh, yeah, both of them together or whatever. Whenever that happened, I lost it.
I love it. My recommendation, I recommended this before, but it's a YouTube channel I follow called Bullets and Blockbusters, which very much about what we were just talking about the unmade versions of movies. So like they're like, he's done episodes on Screen before, but like he'll do like MCU ones. It's like what could have been, let's say X-Men 3 or whatever, like he does the stories of like what almost happened and how movies were rewritten. So that is a fascinating channel. He does other segments of it now where he'll do like looking at a movie and all the production woes and drama behind it and how it got made and ranking it with all of that in mind. So it's a really good channel. I highly recommend that. But yeah, awesome. Well, Christian, this has been fantastic. Always a pleasure geeking out. And I know y'all have an episode to get to, which I will definitely listen to. But for our viewers, listeners out there, thank you so much for supporting the show. Tell your friends about it. Please rate, review, subscribe. And remember, we are all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests.
Hey friends, it's your pal Will Rose here, and let me break the fourth wall a moment and look directly at you through the camera or speak directly to you in your earbuds. Yep, I'm talking to you, Susie. You too, Chad. You can now support Systematic Geekology on Fourth Wall. That's a website. You'll find all of our episodes, incredible merch like shirts and hoodies and mugs. Chad, I would love to see you in one of those shirts out in the wild. You get bonus episodes. We answer bonus questions. We have special shout outs. We have certain episodes that you pick. So you help us create and curate the content that we put out for the world to hear. You even get free merch. And you can support the show at different levels. You could join at the free level. Yep, we love free members, free support. Join it. Or you could become a sidekick for as little as $5 a month. You could join the elves and dwarves for $10 a month. You could become a wizard for $15 a month, or you could go to divinity school and become a cleric for $20 a month. And that's way cheaper than going to seminary, believe me. Or at $25 a month, you could become a superhero. And let me just say, we love all of our listeners, whether you support us at the free level or the superhero level. We love you. We love geeking out with you. Like, support, share the show. Love you.
This is Joshua Knoll. I am one of the hosts of this podcast. I am also host a few other shows on the Anazal Podcast Network that this show is a part of. If you want to hear more from me, you can check out the Whole Church Podcast, where TJ and I go through talking to people from various different church traditions to see what can be done to better harness church unity in the world today. You can also hear me on Be Living Water, where I talk about Taoist Christian beliefs and examine various media like the Book of Daniel and Les Miserables through a Taoist Christian perspective. You can also hear me as I do some of the voice work for the Bible After Hours, where the foul-mouthed preacher goes through the Bible from a more progressive point of view. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you'll consider checking out these other shows on the Anazal Podcast Network.